Yeah, thank you. My name is Mari-Liis, as already host mentioned, and I am one of the co-founders of Complok. Complok stands for Compliance OK, and we are in the process of building AI-driven risk management platform for the financial sector. So why we are doing it? I've been working as a head of compliance in different financial institutions during my entire career, and also at the times when the biggest money laundering scandals hit Europe. So I believe that I have seen the problems with poor risk management firsthand. At some point I felt that since I was working in different financial institutions, that the problems are very similar in different countries, and I wanted to change it. So I left my 9-to-5 job, secure job in the bank, and turned to technology. And here we are, building a RegTech. So before we jumping into the topic, I would like to explain you all what is compliance and why do we need to comply, right? So compliance in financial sector means that financial institutions need to follow the regulations, external regulations, and implement regulations into their internal processes. In other words, they need to ensure that companies are following laws and regulations to maintain integrity and trust in the financial system. And one of the main principles is, in the banking sector, to know your customers. So we need to make sure that Mari-Liis is Mari-Liis, right? We need to verify Mari-Liis, we need to ask all the data to understand Mari-Liis's expected behavior, and then if there is a pattern which is indicating that Mari-Liis is imposing a greater risk, we need to make sure that we are taking measures to prevent it, and also provide Mari-Liis services what she actually needs. And also, I want to highlight that if the banks are not doing it, they might be imposed the fines. And that is something also what we have heard. So bank is, and financial sector entirely, is providing a trust. And if they don't act according to laws and regulations, they might be imposed a fine. So why does it matter to know your customers? Because we need to protect the system, right? We don't want the bad players entering into the financial system. So KYC and know your customer, in other words, is not just a check-the-box exercise. It's really to understand your customer behavior, make sure that Mari-Liis is Mari-Liis, and also preventing financial crime. And I'm not even saying only financial crime, in other words, tax evasions and et cetera, but also not providing services to terrorists, not to provide services to sanctioned entities, and the ones who would like to false the system and get some outcome out of it. So knowing your customers is also building a trust in a society. And what is customer experience here? That if you are entering into the customer relationship with different service providers, you are asked to share the data, same data over and over again. And that is actually quite frustrating, that why do I need to share all the data what I actually already shared a year ago, 2 years ago, to different service providers. And also imagine it's not only banks who need to, you need to provide your data, it's also with different applications. You want to apply a job, or you want like to go to, let's say, to rent an apartment in Madrid. You'll be asked normally to share your passport, your data, submit your documents, and every single time you do that, you create actually new threat, right? So from customer perspective, KYC is often innovative and repetitive, and it feels like we are not trusted as a customers. And yes, yet if you think about digital area where we are living right now, it's also super outdated. The threat landscape has changed over the past years. So for instance, back in 1991, the KYC was there. First AML directive was introduced in 1991, and that required financial sector to know their customers, right? It has changed over the years. It has gone a bit more detailed, but the requirement has been there for many decades already. And now what happened is that the first part of the 2025, 1.8 billion credentials were stolen. And how does it happen? It's actually 800 times increase in the credential attacks. So how could it happen that we have a regulation there for decades, and yet the threats are actually increasing? And that's a problem. Like, it's not the problem, but that's the reason. The reason is that the AI is actually moving so quickly that we can't actually fight with crime with the same tools as we have done so far. So now, yes, we have a generative AI and identity theft. So with the generative AI, it's much easier than ever to fake voices, forge documents, deep fake faces, and create identities in a way that we don't even know whether those people who we should know or we believe that we know are actually a real person. So most probably you all have heard the stories that grandmother called, and we thought that it's a grandmother because the person who was acting on behalf of the grandmother was actually with the same voice. And then someone actually gave their money to the fraudsters just because the identity was faked. You don't need to even hack the system. You just need to convince someone that you are acting on behalf of someone else. So now we have old tools and we have new threats. So every single time you go to a financial sector and ask to provide more data, you are creating new vulnerabilities. In other words, every single time you share your data with the service providers, every time new threats are created. And the more time identity data is duplicated, because you not only share the data once, but you do it many times, then the more attacks and surfaces we are creating. And it's not only creating problems for the customers, but also financial institutions who need to keep that data. And now we have a GDPR requirements, and we need to keep that data in a secured way. And this is an everyday task for compliance people who are working in financial sector at these days. So instead of turning tables. I'm sorry. So instead of working old way that you need to prove your identity over and over again, I believe that there should be a better way how we can actually do this work. And I believe that verify once in secured encrypted environment should be more aligned with EU approach when it comes to provide your data only once. So instead of providing your data in different service providers, you should actually have that data provided once, and then you can share that data to the other service providers. So how we are saying it in our firm is that you should have, if Mari-Liis is Mari-Liis, then Mari-Liis should also have my own vault. And I'll be verified once, and I can collect the data, and my data can be shared among different users. And that is also, that data can be travel across the different services. It's stored safely, and it's shared securely. and data is only shared when I actually give my permission. So imagine that, that the first interview what I might be conducted will be very sophisticated, and then someone is ensuring that Mari-Liis is Mari-Liis, and the data, I own the data. So this way we can actually also avoid threats, and we can avoid GDPR requirements which are in place right now, and can control which data we would like to share with service providers. And also it not only benefiting us as a users, but also financial sector, that they don't need to collect the data. Data can be exchanged. You can actually collect the data what you need. You can set your risk appetite, for instance. You have, like, if you are financial institutions and you would like to get some set of data, then I would ask the data from the user, and then that data is changed. And that is, at the era of AI, the only way how you can actually work in a way that you are not misusing the system. So I think that now, with all this generative AI being in place, and most probably you have all heard that people who have passed away 10 years ago, they are relived. They have actually, people could, even if they are passed away, they could be awakened. And even me being here in front of you, someone is recording my voice and can generate identity. And I've got no idea what I might do all around the world with my, or how can my identity can be used in any other countries, which I don't control. So I think that at the time of AI, we seriously need to consider how we work and see compliance in the future, because the old tools which have been in place for decades are not working any longer, and we really need to change the way we are treating our customers, building a trust, and using AI to support our identity checks. Yeah, thank you.